What's going on, social media land? It's your resident social media therapist, Demetra Corlew, and I'm so excited to bring to you what I know is going to be beyond fire. I wish I had just a better adjective I can give right now on what we're going to experience on the Redirect podcast on today. What's the Redirect? So glad you asked. So, it's a podcast that I created doing what I love to do, and that's helping people to detect, disrupt, and dismantle negative thinking mindsets, patterns, and behaviors. And I do that by shining light, showing love, and sharing tools and resources so that you can implement that in your day to day life. So, with that being said, the podcast episode on today is going to be showing up in your authentic self. And baby, we got us a treasure that's coming on the show today. So, our guest today that's going to talk to us about that is Dr. Lucretia Dangerfield. And I know she has a whole bio, and I'm going to give y'all some of her good nuggets of everything that she's done because she's been an adjunct professor. She does counseling, supervision. She's a co-creator of a YouTube channel called Brown Girl Banter. So make sure y'all check that out as well. But she doesn't know that I'm going to say this, but I have got to give her flowers because this woman, yeah, helped see me through my own personal therapy licensure process. And so I hold her near and dear to my heart. She is a treasure trove of wealth, knowledge, information, understanding, clarity. My goodness, I could go on and on about Dr. Dangerfield. And so I definitely want to give her flowers on the podcast on today. So, with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and bring her up so y'all can experience some of this awesomeness that I've got to experience for now over the past like 5 years now. So, with that being said, welcome Dr. Dangerfield to the Redirect podcast.
Oh, thank you. And to hear that, and 5 years, we've been rolling for 5 years. It seemed like it was just maybe last year. I won't say yesterday, but it seemed like it was just last year when we were going through that whole licensure process and being able to just walk out that journey with you and the way that we were connected and all of that. I know it wasn't nothing but a godsend anyway.
It
So
it
yeah.
was. It was. I'm like, bet nobody in social media land say nothing about Dr. Dangerfield because I'm coming for you. Because she the truth. She ain't no faker baker. She the truth. And so
Yeah.
with that, I just want to hop right on in because I'm so excited just to have this discussion with you. So first off, I know you are just a trailblazer and a lane creator for walking in your authentic self. Why do you think that's so important? And how is that important to our mental health as well, being authentic?
It take too much trying to be somebody else. That's it. Who can be a better you than you? So helping people to show up truly in who they are is like, I feel like that's my mission and my passion. It was something I was called to do because one, I've been on that journey myself. I would be asking myself the question like, who are you? I was trying to be somebody else because I was trying to fit into some lanes that I shouldn't have been trying to fit into. But it wasn't until I realized that being truly who I am, authentically, that's what people were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to help people to really discover, because we know who we are, but we hear the world tell us you should be this, especially in the mental health profession.
Mm-hmm.
People get this idea that I'm supposed to do therapy this way, or I'm supposed to be like, I'll share this. I used to ask people like, who'd you get your idea of a therapist from? And a lot of times they would say something like Fraser Crane. And don't take this the wrong way, but I was like, so you're an old white man. Now, and I'm sitting across from usually a black therapist. I was like, so you're old. I'm like, that don't even make sense. So being able to sit with people and help them rediscover who they are, because it's right there, and it would show up. It would be uncomfortable trying to be somebody else, and it really is uncomfortable when you're trying to walk in somebody else's shoes,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, that don't fit right, or that don't feel right, but you're not showing up as you. And the impact that it has on our mental health is you living almost like a double life.
Mm-hmm.
So you're having this almost sometimes this conversation over here with yourself to say, "Oh, I want to be this. I want to show up as me.
Mm-hmm.
I want the world to experience me." And then over here, you're saying, "But I gotta be in this box or in this lane." So you living like a double life, and that creates, for lack of a better word, insanity,
Mm-hmm.
because you are trying to be who you're not. And I'm a firm believer in. I'm a believer first. And I believe that God created us for a reason. He gave us certain things that He put inside of each one of us that's unique and different, so that you can be in your lane, in your role in the garden, so you can show up as the most beautiful flower that He created. And when we try to run over in somebody else's lane, it's like, get back over here, because
Mm-hmm.
I have something for you to do. And it wasn't until I accepted that I was able to experience freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll share with you one story. I was like I said, in our profession, it's like this, sometimes this cookie cutter mold that they try to put us all in, because they want you, either you trying to look like one of those theorists,
Mm-hmm.
or it's this box. And I remember I was presenting at a conference, and this is after I had stopped working for uh, an agency. So I had my own business. I'm working in my business, and my daily attire in my business is usually like, it was either some jeans and a t-shirt and a cardigan.
Mm-hmm.
So, going, presenting at this conference, I was like, they're gonna expect me to wear some khakis or some black pants, a white shirt, and a blazer.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up the morning that I was supposed to present. I said, I don't want to wear either of those. I said, so I'm gonna show up as me. I showed up, I put on me some colored jeans, I put on a jean blouse and my flats. I walked into that presentation. That was probably one of the best presentations I had done up to that day.
Mm-hmm.
I showed up as truly who I was in that presentation. I sat on the table and talked to them like a conversation, because I'm a very conversational person. So instead of me standing up at the board pointing at the presentation, yeah, it was behind. I sat on the table. Let's talk about this topic. And that was such a freeing moment for me in this profession, because I'm like, I'm showing up as myself. I'm not putting on a blazer and a white button down shirt and some black or brown or khaki pants. I'm like, because that's not me. I was
Mm-hmm.
not comfortable. So being able to show up and then teaching other people, it's not even me teaching people, it's me giving people permission.
Mm-hmm.
I give you permission. People like, what is your superpower? And I was like, I give people the permission to show up as who they are and do what they were created to do. Because I never tell a person, no, you can't do that. If you believe that's what you're supposed to do, or that's what who you are, bring it. Bring every bit of you to that place.
Yes, that's so important because sometimes we don't give ourselves that permission to be fully who we are because we're still trying to conform. But when we finally
Yeah.
get to that place,
Woo.
it's like, man, there we create so many other lanes and
Hmm.
allow people to kind of see like, oh, okay, I can create my own lane, or I can
Yes.
see how I can kind of fit this lane, but
Yes.
I add a different flavor to it. So it's
Yes.
not the same.
Yes. That's it.
Yeah. Oh man. So what would you say are some signs or some indicators when we're not aligned or we're not showing up as our authentic self? What does that look like?
Want confusion.
Mm,
Always seeking answers for clarity. The other piece is burnout.
mhm,
Another point is like it's just like that. It's being almost oppressed, showing up in oppression because you feel bound by, you feel constricted. Imposter syndrome is another thing because I I was thinking one day, I was like, how can I suffer from imposter syndrome when I'm being myself?
mm.
I can't, only when I'm not being myself
Right.
is when I'm being an imposter. That means that's when like somebody gonna find out that I'm not being myself and they're gonna call me out on it because I have friends and colleagues that be like, if I got on here and started doing something, but you be like, Dr. Dangerfield, that's not that's not you.
Mhm.
So that's when I believe imposter syndrome shows up. Even
Mhm.
though it's that people like that negative voice of that, but if it's your truth, you have to operate in truth. And so what gets in the way is sometimes we're not willing to operate in our truth.
Mm. Mhm.
So
Why do you
that
think that might be difficult?
because you're afraid of what somebody else is going to say,
Mhm.
afraid that somebody that don't that don't even make a difference, if we that some afraid what they might say or how the world's going to see you. And it's like, but if you're being yourself, I'm not talking about being yourself, being out here being rowdy, just doing, turning over tables and stuff, but authentically showing up as who you are, where you feel comfortable in your own skin.
Mhm.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm like being you unapologetically because you never can apologize for you because
Mm.
no one can tell you that you're not being you unless you're not being you.
Right.
Now, some people might have to shift their view of you because they're used to you playing small
Mm.
and fitting into their box,
Mhm.
and they'll try to keep the lid on. But when you come out that box and you give yourself permission, then people have a whole new appreciation for who you are and they start respecting and allowing you because they can't change who you are because that's who you are.
Mhm. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. There was another redirect podcast episode
Mhm.
where Nikita Burns Cummings was talking about playing small. And sometimes we get used to playing small, or people get
Mhm.
used to us playing small. And so
Yes.
when you mentioned that, it made me think about that again. And essentially, we have to take inventory of our atmosphere. Who do
Yes.
we have around us? Because sometimes some individuals,
They
they only
benefit
know us in that capacity.
or
So
they
then when we show
benefit
up
from you.
big,
Yeah, they benefit from you playing small.
ooh, ooh,
They
ooh,
benefit from it.
oh, that I don't know if that's a good punch for anybody.
They yeah, they benefit from you playing small. If you because other people can see your greatness.
Mhm,
They see it. And they like, but if it's gonna benefit them, because that means if you show up big, that means their insecurities might show up. And they're like,
mhm,
oh, I can't let her outshine me. But if we both showing up in who we are, I'm not competing with your light because your light
mhm.
is your light.
Right,
And you don't have to compete with my light because my light is my light.
right, right. So, how would you say someone can move toward light once they've experienced darkness? And
Mm.
darkness can be, different things for different people. That could be trauma, depression, disappointment,
Hmm.
So how can we move towards light?
Shift your narrative.
Mm,
One, you have to check what is the narrative that you are reading.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that's like reimprint your life is like around that. It's like how to shift those imprints because we all have imprints that have been placed on us either from society, from family of origin things, trauma, because those imprints are those beliefs, barriers, and blocks that we have taken on that cover who we are. So what I get people to do is I say, hey, write down truly who you are without the expectation of other people or feeling like you have to perform. Write that down because that's usually the truth of who you are. If you come up with some negative things, look for the truth in it. Like, is that true all the time or is it true sometimes? Yes, we've had some experiences, but they are experiences. They're
Mm-hmm.
not who you are. Line it up to what who did the creator say you were?
Mm-hmm.
And then look at your truth, then begin to speak that truth over who you are. So if and one thing that I believe in is I am statements, affirmations, being able to say I am, because whatever you put out after I am is what you're calling. So if you say I'm dumb, you saying you dumb, and that usually will play out. So if you say I am smart, I am beautiful, I am loved, I am worthy, I am powerful beyond measure, changing your narrative about how you see yourself and start walking it out. No, it's not going to happen overnight because it takes a while to shift, some of those cognitions. But keep walking it out. You'll see it. You'll start walking with your shoulders up, walking with some confidence that's like, oh, people be like, you changed. No, I've just stepped into me.
I like that. I've just stepped into me. That's an affirmation and stuff. I'm stepping into me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Don't worry. I'm finna steal that. I thank you
You you
in
you
advance.
you can borrow it. You can borrow
Thank
because
you.
like I get like I tell people I'm like I give away stuff because it's not for me to keep it.
Mhm. Oh, that's gonna be a post. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I give you credit, but as a show finna be a post, I'm
Mhm.
walking into me. Um, because too, just even in you saying that, it made me think of just the question that sometimes our feelings can have us fragmented. They can have us
Yes.
in pieces. They can
Yes.
have us in pieces. And
Yes.
so, what would you say are just ways to like work our way out the feelings and not count the feelings as facts? Because I know, okay, we got to change our perspective on it, but I'm sure some folks that's going to hear this and like, okay, well, I've heard that and I've tried to do this, but what else can I do?
And you said and something that you said feelings are not facts. Which yeah, when you're feeling it, it's uncomfortable. Yeah, you be like, oh yeah, this for real situation. But start checking on why you stand with the feeling or what is it that you want to feel.
Mm,
Because feelings won't last always. They're momentarily like, oh, I feel this way about myself, but I can shift how I feel about myself, or I feel a specific way about a situation. Let me look at the truth of that situation of how I can change my narrative of how I feel about what happened. Prime example, you're in a relationship or you thought you was in a relationship with someone, they leave, they walk away, they abandon, you feel like they abandoned you.
right.
Did they abandon you? No, they just made a decision not to be in a relationship with you any longer. So you get to change that because they didn't abandon you. They just decided to go. You're not alone. It's the truth. I am alone. Probably if we checked 80% of the thing, we're not alone.
Hmm.
We have other people that are willing to step into that place to feel that if we
Right.
will allow. So yeah, sitting with your feelings and even question it. Why am I feeling this way? What is
Mhm.
like, is this truly, because sometimes even with anger, you have to question, am I truly angry, or I'm hurt, or am I disappointed? And if you can get clear about that feeling, then you're like, okay, what is the opposite of that? I need to operate in the opposite if I want to feel differently.
Right.
So if
Mm.
you, if you're disappointed, okay, what were my expectations? Were my expectations different from what that other person, what I shared with that other person, what I, gave them? Was that, is that why I'm disappointed, because they didn't meet my expectations? Well, what was my role in it of why they didn't meet it? Maybe I was not clear about my expectations. So taking some ownership and responsibility about that. And then some people are just crappy people,
Mhm.
but they operating out of their own hurt.
Right.
So it's like, but give yourself some compassion. Like, oh, I'm still lovable. And why do I say you're still lovable? Because you were created
Mhm.
by the creator, the most high. He loved you. He put love inside of you. So you're still lovable.
Mhm.
It's just somebody chose to take their love somewhere else. They did not know how to love you properly.
Mm. Mm. So many key things there. One word that I definitely honed in on was the expectation. Because sometimes we have unrealistic expectations of ourselves
Oh,
that keep
yes.
us from showing
Ooh.
up authentically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So how do we dismantle the unrealistic expectations?
So I always say, ask yourself, like, where do these expectations come from? And a lot of times, me being a person, I grew up in the church.
Mhm.
So some expectations were placed on me from like growing up in the church, being the oldest, and I held myself to this standard.
Mhm.
And I said, oh, I have to be perfect, or I have to perform in certain way. So once I start dismantling those expectations of that I put on myself, that other people put on, but I was like, that's not me. So it was keeping me from showing up authentically because I was trying to live or perform to get something that I already had. So for people, it's like, okay, when you set these unrealistic expectations, one, you have to ask yourself, is that what I want?
Right.
All right, did somebody else tell me that's what I wanted for me? So it's about getting clear about what your wants are, what your needs are, and then looking at it and saying, really, how do I want to show up in life?
Mhm.
And taking us, so you want to deconstruct some of these expectations that you place on yourself so that you can reconstruct the life that you want and are called to live from an authentic space.
Yes, because those are truly key things that you listed to live authentically with ourselves. And oh my goodness, that was so good. And I'm like, it was one point that I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. Oh, what you said. Essentially, sometimes we're performing to attain something that we already got. And when you said that, it hit my brain like, child, how many times now I'm doing this whole act scene two.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I already had this. Like
You already have what you wanted.
that child, that self-reflection, that'll get you. I mean, well, you gut punch me.
Yeah. Because like even for myself, because being true and transparent about myself, like for me, I've realized that I sometimes I would perform so I could think that people love me.
Mm-hmm.
And like I earn, like that's sometimes I'm like, that's why you got 3 degrees, girl, because you was trying to earn somebody's approval and love some kind of way. And then I'm like, but I already got love.
Mm-hmm.
I love myself. God loves me. I got family and friends that love me. I'm like, so girl,
Right.
what was you performing for?
Mm-hmm.
And that was like when I realized that I was looking for external validation as a mirror of love. I was like, oh, you got to get your whole self together, sister. You've been running around here like living reckless. I guess at times it's like you already have it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. I'm so gonna be watching the replay on this and taking some additional notes, and then probably sending some message. So you said this. Can you can you expound? So, but before I let you go, Dr. Dangerfield,
Hmm.
super easy peasy game that I have entitled "What's the Move?"
Okay,
What's the move? So, city life or rural life? What's the move?
I'm a city kind of girl.
Okay. You like the hustle and bustle of
Now
the
I like the
atmosphere.
ease of being able to get the stuff because like rural life, I for me, I always say I need a Walmart within 5 to 10 or a grocery store within 5 or 10 miles. So rural life, it may take me a while to get there.
Hmm.
So city life for me.
Okay. Okay. This next one, I kind of got a feeling what you're going to say, but we're going to ask it. So, physical books or ebooks? What's the move?
Physical books. I love the feel of a book. I love it. Even though I do both, I do. I love the feel of a good hardback. Yes. I can highlight in it. I can read, all of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, you prefer hardbacks over paperbacks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll pay a little extra for the hardback if I had to.
Okay. Well, you like what you like. Ain't
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. Okay.
It's something
So,
about that bind. Like you get to open it and the bind, that middle piece,
uh-huh.
it make that noise, like it kind of crack when you open it.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
You know what though? I do like physical books.
Hmm.
For me, I like a good dust jacket on it.
Yes. I hate when people remove them. It bothers me when people remove them. I'm like, but then I don't want you to mess it up, so sometimes I have to take it off
Hmm.
and put it back on while I'm reading. But I'm like you, I want that on there.
Yeah, I like a good dust jacket. So last one, milk chocolate or dark chocolate? What's the move?
Milk.
Hmm.
Now I like my man to be dark chocolate, but when it comes to eating chocolate, it's milk chocolate.
Oh man, I'm cool with milk chocolate. I'm starting to grow a little bit of a love for dark chocolate.
Those little Dove bars, yeah,
Yeah,
they'll get you.
they will.
But sometimes dark chocolate can be a little too. It's like it has a aftertaste
Hmm.
that sometimes like gets me. That's why I said milk.
Okay. Okay. Well, again, I appreciate you, Dr. Dangerfield, for coming on the podcast. So let the people know where can they find you at?
Okay, you can find me number one if you're an Instagram person. Is Instagram. This is I am Dr. Dangerfield. That's what I post a lot of content there. Facebook, LinkedIn. You can find me at Dr. Lucretia Dangerfield. And then I have my website is www.reimprintyourlife.com.
All right, so y'all got all the good contact information on where to find Dr. Lucretia Dangerfield, who I told y'all, Fire Inferno, a great resource for especially walking in your authentic self, but so much more. And so when y'all watch this good podcast, make sure y'all like, share, follow the podcast. Make
Yeah.
sure y'all do social media engagement. I love to see the hearts, the comments, the emojis, everything. Make sure you engage because you never know that your comment or post may end up on the Redirect podcast episode. But until next time, thanks again, Dr. Dangerfield. We love y'all. Y'all have a good
Thank
one.